Hello, Science and Magic YouTube channel. My name's Amanda Levesque, and I am going to be sharing a video today about some ways to embody more feminine energy. Many of us know how to do things like get our nails done and dress really beautifully and do our hair. But when it comes to actually absorbing the energy of feminine essence into our bodies, it can feel a little like, well, what does that mean? How do I do it? My specialty is in helping high achievers, high performers to kind of slow down, to find more work-life balance by way of nervous system education, mindfulness practices, and actually building a connection with the body. So what I do, even though I don't name it, is help people get in touch with their feminine energy. And I work with all genders, and we all have both masculine and feminine energy within our bodies. And one polarity, one of those poles might resonate more with us than the other one. I think in general, our society is really, really geared towards more masculine energy. That's the norm. So in the work that I do, being an advocate for feminine energy, it helps us to understand how to soften in relationship to this really masculine-centered world. I'll just do a brief explanation of what I mean when I say masculine and feminine energies. Again, it's an energy, it's an embodiment, it's a way of being in the world. You can think of masculine energy as more leadership-oriented, direct, focused on a linear path to achieve a goal. There's a lot of effort in the masculine energy pole. Feminine energy is more receiving, it's softening, it's letting life spiral, it's being in touch with the water in the body, the emotional realm, and letting things not make sense, letting there be mystery. It's kind of funny, I'm just realizing this now, but my YouTube channel titled Science and Magic, very much, in some ways, masculine and feminine. And these energy poles are sacred. They exist throughout nature. I gave this example in another video, but you could think of, a river, the flow of a river, how the water just follows the flow of the rocks, of the riverbed, of any debris that's in its path, and it flows around it. The water is the feminine, and the riverbed and the rocks and the container of that water directing the flow is the masculine. And there's example after example after example in the universe that lives not just in a particular gender or a particular body, but exists in our everyday life, in our everyday interactions. So, what does this mean for us in our work and in our bodies if we are so curious and so desire getting in touch with our feminine energy? What are some ways we can do that? The first thing is letting your energy rest down and back. And so you could even try this right now. Wherever you're at, if you're in front of a computer and you're typing, most likely you're leaning up and forward. When you're in conversation with someone, notice how you're listening to them. If your core is engaged, if you're tilted forward on your sits bones, if you're almost holding your breath and kind of bracing your jaw, your energy is probably more forward. But if you can feel your back space, feel your spine, let your tailbone tilt down towards the earth, or if you're standing, feel the weight kind of rest back into your heels, and just become aware of your back space. Become aware of the space behind you, and in doing so, you're feeling the ground, and you're feeling the space behind you. And now you're in a space where you are more able to receive because your energy is not penetrating forward. It's not moving forward towards the person or the project that you're working on. So that's a really simple embodiment. And I catch myself often doing this when I'm listening to someone with great attentiveness. And even if I'm really eager to respond or reply to them, I can feel my body language start to move forward like this. Like if you're sitting at a table or at a bar, you could be on a date, you could be with a colleague, you could be with a friend catching up. But just notice this subtle shift down and back. And in doing this, the front space of the body can open up a bit more. And more than likely that person who you're sharing conversation with or interaction with, they'll start to shift their body to be up and forward. And this is how energy polarity works. Not bad to be in the masculine. The masculine does wonders for our society of pushing things forward, of getting things done, of activation, of spurring energy and leadership. But if you're curious about how to shift your energy poles, this can be a really helpful way to do that. The next tip is to soften. And this one can be a tall order because it has a lot to do with nervous system safety. But many of us clench our jaws a lot during the day. We engage our cores. We are bracing our hips. And generally just there's a muscle, our shoulders are coming up and in. And this is very like I'm braced to meet a challenge. Whereas more the feminine energy essence is how can I soften and receive that energy coming towards me? So you could start by, just like we did with leaning back and down, noticing the earth underneath. So you just start by noticing the chair you're sitting on, the ground underneath you. If you'd like to lay down, you could just lay and feel the support of the earth, of the ground, of the foundation underneath the body, and invite the body to rest into that foundation. Feminine energy likes to be held. So let yourself feel held by the ground. And then notice any spaces in the body that are tight or wound up. And rather than forcing them into softness, you could think of inviting them to start unwinding. So the process of unwinding. It may even be like 10% more, but it's sending this gentle invitation, like I am safe now in this moment. And jaw, you no longer have to brace. Brow, you can rest. You could even give yourself a little bit of like a facial massage, relaxing the muscles of your face. You give yourself a neck massage, shoulder massage, just inviting these muscles, this tone to release. And then let that softening happen from the inside out. So you could even say organs. It's okay. You don't need to be held. There's no threat around me. You can soften and release. And you can just start to feel the whole body spiraling downwards. Like I said, this can be difficult to hold, especially if you're in a state of chronic fight or flight or stress. It's kind of like going from 110 during the day to being like, okay, body, let's close our eyes and sink inward. Well, often the mind's going to be pretty frenetic. It's going to be a lot of thoughts. It's going to be really hard to unbrace the body because it'd be like running from a lion in the woods and then all of a sudden sitting down cross-legged and meditating. Like it just doesn't work. So this is really where I work with a lot of my clients of how to move my clients into a state of, out, rest and digest and out of a state of survival. It can take technique. It can take working with somebody, working with another safe nervous system. It can take structure. You can also access it on your own. I believe that our bodies are brilliant and we can do so much on our own, but having community and support around softening is really important as well. So number 1 was resting the energy back and down. And number 2 was inviting the body to soften. Number 3 is taking some deep, luscious belly breaths. When we invite our breath down into the area of our belly, we stimulate a nerve called the vagus nerve. And this nerve innervates our organs, our heart, our digestive system, and runs up into the brain. And it's body up feedback to let our body know that we're safe. Sending the breath down connects us into our body. So feminine energy lives in the body. It's all about body. Whereas masculine energy lives up in the head and the brain. And so many of us are so stuck up in the brain in our thoughts, and we try to control our thoughts by slowing them down. That's really hard to do. It's really hard to control thoughts. It's not impossible. I don't think anything is impossible, but what's more helpful, what can be, is to just shift focus away from the frenetic thoughts and into the body. And so you could place your hands on your belly and take a few deep breaths into the belly. Some people have an easier time doing this when lying on their back. That's more accessible to them. So in the middle of the day, if you want to tap into your feminine essence, if you feel like you're getting really heady, really frenetic, really lost in thoughts, either sitting, lying down on the back, place your hands on your belly and take 3 long, deep breaths. And this will help to soothe the nervous system, soften the body, and rest the energy back. The 4th way to connect to your feminine energy is by resting your awareness and your attention in your heart as often as possible. The Heart Math Institute is a nonprofit organization that does research, scientific peer-reviewed research on the area of the heart. This field is also called neurocardiology. When you rest your attention into your heart, you're accessing the heart's nervous system. There are 40,000 neurons in the heart that on their own sense and process information from our environment. And the heartbeat produces electricity. This electricity creates a magnetic field around the heart, I think, also referred to as the aura. And the beating of the heart's magnetic field produces a field that's 60 times the amplitude of the brain. So it helps us to connect into the fields of each other. There's so much wisdom, so much intelligence in the heart. And according to the Heart Math Institute, the way to connect into a state of coherence and harmony in the body is to drop the attention and focus in the heart. That's it. So right now, even as you're listening to this, shifting your awareness down into this space. So you might start by noticing the heartbeat. You might feel the front of the chest, the space in between the shoulder blades, the side of the rib cage. And then start to breathe into the heart. This is heart breath. And you elongate your breath in the area of the heart. And you give the heart authority to lead, to guide, to, give you the words, to interpret your environment, to move through your voice, to move through your eyes. And I could talk about the heart for so long, but there's this wisdom here that connects you not only to your own unique essence, but it connects you into your environment and into the collective. There is both a deepening and an expansive nature to the heart. And feminine essence and energy lives in the heart. Leading a heart-centered life, leading a heart-centered business, leading a heart-centered relationship is very, very feminine. And it's kind of mysterious. I mean, the heart can guide us to say things or make decisions that are beyond logical reasoning. The heart and the brain have a connection. 90% of the neural connection between the heart and the brain actually feeds from the heart up to the brain. Fun fact. So the heart has a lot of authority, but we're a very head-centered society. Again, we're very a masculine-oriented society. So we counter that by letting the heart guide us, by letting the heart lead, by dropping the attention into the heart. And you can do this when you're working on a project at work, when you're in a meeting at work, when you're on a date, when you're in conversation with a loved one. Just drop your attention into your heart and let the heart guide what you're going to say. And chances are the more that you do this, the more you'll be tapped into your intuition, into your inner knowing, into that part of you that you're not sure why you're making this decision, but it just feels right. It's a very feminine quality. Another thing you could do is imagine there's warm embers in the heart, like a soft, gentle glow of the start of a beautiful fire, like in the middle of winter or something. And this warmth in the heart will trickle out into your environment. And you will start to have a glow, a magnetic glow. And we boost the magnetic field around the heart. We become more magnetic. And feminine energy is magnetic. It draws things to it. So we have step 1, lean down and back. Step 2, soften as much as you can, even just 10% more, that jaw, the face, the belly, the chest. Step 3, belly breaths. Place your hand on your belly, calm your system. Take 3 deep belly breaths, letting your body know that you are safe in this moment. Step 4, access the heart as often as possible throughout the day, in conversation, when making decisions, before going to bed at night. Be in the heart and let the heart lead. Step 5 to accessing your feminine essence from an inside-out perspective in your body, in your mind, in your heart is pay attention and love your emotions. When we stamp down our emotions, then we're stamping down our feminine essence, our feminine energy. Our emotions are teachers. And even the ones that aren't so fun to feel, like anger or sadness or jealousy, we can listen to them as if they are our dear friends. And in listening to them and being with them as a sensation, not as a story, not as a heady story, but as a sensation, then they can start to move. They can start to alchemize. They can start to shift and change in our bodies and in our lives. So if we're feeling grief, let's say, we could feel that maybe in the lungs. And the lungs might start to feel achy, or the chest might start to feel tight. The face might start to drop. So noticing these sensations, finding a place to be still and just being with them. We often want these emotions that don't feel good to leave our bodies quickly. And in doing that, we create resistance to them, which amplifies them even more. If you can think of it in relation to talking to somebody, trying to have a conversation, and they're trying to get their point across, and we're shutting them out and wanting them to move on with the conversation, their voice is probably just going to get louder and louder and louder until they can be heard. So can our emotions. So when we just sit with them and we let them be there and we say hello, then they can move. And often when diving into emotions, diving into the water of the body, that feminine essence, it can feel overwhelming. And of course, get support if you need support in the form of a therapist or friends or other nervous systems that help you to feel safe, an environment that feels safe. But if it feels available and you're feeling an emotion, it could be joy too. It could be joy and love and peace and gratitude. Pause for a moment. Let things not make sense. Feel what you need to feel. And you can also move. Moving with emotions can be really, really big. So dancing, moving, stretching. The point is to notice the sensations, feel them. And then from that place of inner witnessing, of inner allowing, of letting things be, the next step will arise naturally. The next step doesn't come from, in the feminine way, sitting down and making a Venn diagram and making lists and doing things logically. It comes from connecting into the body. And in the body lives emotions, in the body lives intuition, in the body lives heart and gut and breath. And when we connect into these things, our next step of action arises into our conscious awareness naturally. And I think most of us can probably resonate with a time in our lives when an idea just came. So this is how we start to kind of create. We connect into our emotions, we connect into our body, our sense of feeling, our essence, see what's there, sit with it. Don't ask it to do anything particular. Don't ask it to move. Don't try to force any particular experience. And then our next step will lead us. So, one more recap. Lean down and back. Soften as much as you can. Breathe into the belly. Connect into the heart. Let the heart lead. And when your attention is in your body and an emotion arises, rather than numb it out, if possible, be with it. Sit with it, move with it, breathe with it. And through all of this, you will be led in your life to the next action. I hope that this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I would appreciate if you would like this video, if it resonated and added value to your life. That will help it to be seen for more people who would benefit from it. I would also love to hear if there's ways that you connect to your feminine essence. So much has to do with body connection, and this is really my area of expertise of how to link the brain and the body together. I have a background in neuroscience. I've been a yoga instructor for 10 years. I've been a dancer for my whole life, and I love diving into the body, and in doing so, elevating goddess energy, elevating feminine essence. I love guiding others to do the same thing in their lives and their business specifically. That's really what I love doing, is helping high achievers, high performers to connect and embrace some of their feminine essence. They may be more related to their masculine essence, but it can be helpful to have the tools, since we have both poles in our body, to access the feminine when it feels right to do so. So if you'd like to work with me, I'll link my information in the notes down below. And I am so grateful that you're here and that you're connecting with me in this way. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much.